So, hi everyone, I'm so sorry for that, but I hope you can see me now. I know. So, my topic today is about giving feedback to students. So, this is really important how to give feedback to your student because, first of all, we spend significant amount of time giving your students some feedback. So when you give your students some feedback, you should keep in mind a very important thing. First of all, that our students at large don't like receiving feedback from their teacher because this means they are going to do extra work. Second of all, according to research, students who are dissatisfied with this feedback they are getting for many reasons, which we are going to take them over one by one in a minute. And also, we spend much time receiving, giving feedback, either from peers, from superiors, from heads up, and all of these things. So we are involved in a process of receiving, giving feedback to everyone who is right around us. So why our students are dissatisfied, why are our students dissatisfied with receiving some kind of feedback? So first of all, many feedback, much of the feedback the students are receiving is not clear. Secondly, the quality of feedback. Thirdly, the modality of feedback. Finally, the consistency of feedback. So what do I mean by each and every one of them? When it comes to quality, students expect to get some top quality of feedback. So whenever you give me feedback, I want to know exactly what went wrong. And I want to know how to work on it, how to prove it, and how to make it better for the next assignment. So two questions you need to ask yourself whenever you give your students some feedback. First, that this feedback useful to my students? Second, how my students is going to use this feedback to improve or to work on his own academic performance. So yeah, I'm not just giving feedback because this is your job as a teacher to give feedback. No, it's just meaningless feedback. But whenever you give feedback, you should keep in mind again what kind of mentality you are building up in your student's head. So the academic performance is mainly corrected or aligned or even improved by getting some feedback. Whenever you get some feedback from anyone, they're going to work on it. So it's really important to ask yourself whenever you give your students this kind of feedback, how this feedback is going to be used. Secondly, when it comes to the clarity of feedback, if you ask your students to do something and after a while you collected their assignments and reviewed the kind of feedback they got from many teachers, you will be shocked again because you as a teacher, you will be surprised. You don't even understand what this teacher, that teacher is trying to say, what kind of feedback you gave to your students because they are meaningless. They are not consistent, they are not constructive, they are not, again, helping. So the quality of the assessment, the quality of this kind of feedback, and you should have a plan in mind. So whenever you write down feedback, again, write down why do my students need this feedback? What is the form of the next assignment will be in terms of this feedback? How this feedback is going to be expanded to another assignment? Will my students be able to understand this feedback or not? Thirdly, the consistency of feedback. And when it comes to the idea of consistency, I mean, some teacher would give much feedback, generous feedback, which would be in some cases quite perplexing to the students. They are too many. And on the other hand, another bunch of teacher will not give enough feedback. And here is the problem. The students is right in the middle, quite distracted. Do I have all of these problems, all of these things that I need to work on, or I do not have any problem and I'm good to go? So in this case, you're not getting any kind of improvement because again, one of us said he's a good one, and the other said no, he's terrible. He needs to do tons of works. So in this case, you should keep in mind again what kind of monster we are building, what kind of monster you're creating, what kind of human being you are doing here, making here. So how can we improve the feedback we are providing to our students? There are 7 types, or let's say 6 types of feedbacks. We have praise feedback, we have critical feedback, we have like vague feedback, we have suggestive feedback, and we have advice feedback. So when it comes to praise feedback, good job, well done, okay. I need to know what went perfectly and what went wrong. So in order to avoid this and to get much credit next time. So instead of saying, for example, 7 out of 10 and good, okay, I need more elaboration on this because again, I want to get 10 out of 10. So this kind of feedback is quite perplexing and you are not helping your students to get that. So in this case, you need to be much more specific because again, just if you were the students, you will be frustrated, dissatisfied, and this is one of the highly common reasons behind the dissatisfaction of the feedback they are getting from their teachers. The second kind of feedback is epistemic feedback, which is something like improvement feedback. So you detect some kind of improvement in your students' performance. And in this case, you ask your students to keep working on this because I have detected it. You're doing a very good job, and you have met my expectation as long as you're working on this in this direction. This is highly beneficial. Sadly, we have the critical feedback. Why haven't you considered that? Well, critical feedback could be in one of the 3 types. It could be critical of the content itself. So why haven't you considered this point? You should have consulted this reference. You should have referred to this authority and so on and so forth. And when it comes to the second one, which is approach feedback, you should have started with this anecdote or creation, or you should have concluded this is not the right conclusion for your above mentioned ideas. So you need to keep this in mind. And finally, we have the correction or corrective feedback. So when we have spelling mistakes, when we have grammar mistakes, and even when we have some stylistic mistakes or errors or whatsoever. Then we have the critical advice feedback. For example, it's kind of critical, yeah. And then we have the vague feedback. You should work better. You should work better on improving your writing skills. Really? What kind of message you're trying to convey to the people? I'm quite unclear about what you said, but that's why just imagine yourself in your student's show. In this case, you will not be able to get what you said. In this case, you should keep to ask yourself. That's why we can We can divide all the kind of feedback the students are receiving from us into two main types: the ontological feedback and the epistemological feedback. The epistemological feedback, the epistemology is a Latin word. It means knowledge, and when it comes to ontology and ontological, it means the education. So the epistemological feedback, which is what my students know and what they can do. The ontological feedback, what I need them to know and what I need them to do. And in order to link these two feedback to match the expectation of your students and to be able to tease out whatever goes in your argument, you need to ask yourself, how can I link both of them? So if my students, if in this part, in this level, and you need them to get in here, what kind of link you are going to have here to go from here to here? So this kind of feedback is really important, not only to students, but also to teacher, and also students can receive any kind of feedback as long as it is comprehensible, understandable, constructive, and most importantly, meaningful and important to them. So another way of giving feedback is to explain the rationale behind the feedback. So if you do this, you will be able to do that and that and that, and your writing skills will be improved. That's why I'm not a big fan of hammering our students with tons of feedback. Just minimize your feedback to one or two, just one or two, three maximum, and try to make them more intense, more focused, and more to the point. In this way, students will work on improving themselves, their performance in a very meaningful way, and they feel this kind of development throughout the course. So I started here, I began to develop and evolve up to I have met all the requirements you expected me to do by the end of the course. That's all what I have for this point. I wish I had said something that is meaningful to anyone. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so happy. I miss all of you, and I wish I could have the chance to see you soon. If you have any question, if you don't have any question for me, that's it. And have a great day.